Hello everyone, Burb here. The character guides have been a labor of love on this channel for quite a while. They don't really get the greatest views because most of the audience are Oshi players for the various characters, but I still want to do them. I don't want to leave out the Mejiro McQueen Oshis, so the only way with these 7-1 changes occurring and with having so many video topics that I need to make that are in the queue, I need to do a double video. So consider this to be a bonus video about Mejiro McQueen Summer. So without further ado, this is a way too in-depth guide to Mejiro McQueen Summer. We'll go over the banner as per usual, and then we will go over the character. For the banner, like I always say, pull for the characters that you enjoy. As per usual, because this character is not named Christmas Oguri, or it does technically have good frontrunner aptitude, but there are better frontrunners out there that have more mid-race than she does. She does not have any top meta relevance. However, she is a rather strong character with the ability to run in front or pace on those medium and long tracks in particular. Base McQueen will probably be better on those mile tracks, but for mediums and longs, or if you're an Oshi player and do not have base McQueen, pull for the characters that you enjoy. She will be just fine. Her ultimate works a lot like Mejiro Bright. If you like the whole stamina game, you may enjoy this character as well. Also note this is a double banner with Gold Chip Summer. If you like both characters, you have added value on this banner because your pity can be used for the other character if you only end up pulling copies of one character over the other. Alright, let's talk about Mejiro McQueen Summer. Just like base Mejiro McQueen, she is meant to be a pace chaser for the medium or long position on turf tracks, but she can be stretched very easily with the use of only one parent to get to the front runner position with that front B aptitude. You can technically run her late. The only reason to do that is to slightly late proc your ultimate, but I don't think it is kind of worth the squeeze having to go all the way from D. And you can stretch her into various dirt races as well with the dirt E. It just requires 4 parents. Now, the mile aptitude is F. It's going to be difficult. It's a force. I think base McQueen is the better one to do that because the final corner ultimate that is near guaranteed is usually just fine to use. All right. Her bonuses are 8% speed, 8% stamina, and 14% wit. Now, wit bonus is very powerful, especially in a scenario like Grand Live and Unity 2.0 that presses the wit button quite a lot. You have 21% amplification. While the actual deck builds are kind of up in the air right now for Unity, you are generally pressing the speed and wit button most of the time, and she has 8% speed and 14% wit, which means you have 21% amplification for the wit button and a little bit of a bonus for the speed button. In Grand Live, if you do not have stamina sparks, you're going to probably want to press the stamina button with a super creek, and so you get a little bonus there as well. So she is rather powerful just because of the sheer amount of amplification that she has on the wit button. Her unique, your smile sparkles as the waves, says that when positioned in the front part of the pack in the second half of the race, start a long spurt based on remaining endurance, slightly increasing velocity continuously. This is a Mejiro Bright style ultimate, although it is front half of the pack instead of mid pack. So there's some conditions to go through. They are rather easy. It will proc in the second half of the race, 50% or later. It can indeed late proc if you are not in position. However, the position is usually in the situations where you're going to win because as a pace chaser or a front runner, if you're not really in the top 4, which is order rate 40% or better, somewhere in the top 4, you're probably losing through one of two means. First of all, if you're just not close enough to the leader, you're probably going to lose to the frontrunner that is, or if there's too many frontrunners or pace chasers better than you and you're unable to hit 4th place, you're probably not hitting your excel as pace chaser even as well. And of course, as a frontrunner, you're not hitting angling and scheming, so being there in worse than 4th is probably not a situation where you're winning anyway. So most likely this ultimate will not late proc. Otherwise, this does work in first position for you frontrunner players. So she can be run in the front runner position because this does work from first place along with other stuff. And it is mid-race, which is rather powerful, especially on front runners vying for the various first position accelerations. If you are able to complete this quite simple task of being in the front half of the pack at the 50% mark, you do get a 0.15 target speed increase with special scaling. Now, this is similar to Mejiro Bright. I'm going to steal a few slides from the Mejiro Bright video. I will be glossing over a lot of it and telling you more of the differences than the actual math. If you're looking for the math itself, it is in the MesureBright video. I'll put a card up right now. I highly suggest watching it. I think I did a decent job trying to explain the special scaling. But the base is 5 seconds and it's multiplied by various thresholds. Note that HP is mostly determined by the length of the race. You can go and add additional HP by your stamina stat, as well as your, it's the stamina stat gives base HP as well, and then you have your various recovery, that percentage increase based on it, which is mostly determined again by the length of the race. If you notice, even if you have 1200 stamina on a 3600 meter track, you're going to have 75% of your stamina actually come, or 75% of your HP come from the distance of the race itself, and not the stuff that you can go and control. Note that the difference between MesureBright alt and this alt is that you are either normally a frontrunner or a pace chaser. The pace chaser style modifier is 89% or 0.89, which means you are less efficient at generating HP from stamina, which will hurt this ultimate a little bit because you will have less HP in general. And if you're a frontrunner player, I believe yours is up to 92, which is a little better, or 95 even, but that doesn't really matter because you are spot struggling, which should burn it down to about to where it is for the pace chasers as well. Note that about 50% of the way through the race, you're probably burning about 1800 HP total, no matter what you do, and that's kind of indicative of most of the tracks that you're doing. It's about half of your HP at the 50% mark, and so what you need to look at here is that in order to add a modifier for duration, the special scaling on this ultimate, you have to threshold your HP remaining at that 50% mark, or if you late proc whenever this ultimate would be fulfilling all of its conditions. Basically, the big threshold is 2000. That gives you an additional 2.5 seconds. So you basically multiply 5 by 1.5 and you get 1.75. You get 7.5 seconds there. And then 2400, 26, 28, 3000, 32, 35, you can see on screen, gives you 2, 2.2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and 4, which 3500 extra is a ton of bonus stamina because you're burning through like 1800 even on this 3600 track. So you have to grab a lot of extra stamina in order to do so. The threshold you really should be looking at is its kind of break-even point with Gold Chip. Now, it made a little more sense on MesureBright because this is end closer versus frontrunner. You can kind of consider this like Palmer alt, but basically, if you're able to hit a 2x modifier, you have a 10-second 0.15, which is roughly the same as a 6-second 0.25. It is 1.5 distance units each. So that 2x threshold is basically a free anchors away in whatever position that you are running in the front half. And in order to get this, note that because of your HP inefficiency as a pace chaser or your spot struggle, you're probably getting around 1000 stamina, 1000 HP from 1200 max stamina. And if you do that, if you look, the longer your track length, your base HP contributes a lot more than your stamina actually does. Now at the 1800 meter, if you hit max stamina for some reason, you hit 2005, but if you miss a total of 6 stamina, all of a sudden you're back down to the base multiplier of 1.0. So those higher tracks, no matter what, if you get high stamina, which in order to stamina for that 3600 meter, you're probably getting 1200 plus stamina. So 1200 stamina would give you a 2.5 modifier at the gate or a 12.5 second ultimate. That's the big thing with this character, is the longer the track, the easier it is for you to get these bonus durations, which makes your ultimate better, not only because of that, but because also the skills get stretched the longer the track actually is. If you look at this, in order to get max value, you most likely aren't even going to be able to hit max value. The only one that's really even possible, and it's harder on Pace Chaser because it's harder to go and generate stamina, is on that 3600 meter Nakayama track. 3200 is technically possible, but it requires 3.6 gold recoveries because they regen 230 stamina apiece with the additional HP that you gain. At 3600 meter, it's only 2.8. But the thing is that you don't really need 4x. It is really, really funny to see that your ultimate goes and starts in the 50% mark and goes all the way into basically the final straight of most long tracks. But realistically, what you're kind of looking for is that 2x, not only for Daring Strike, gold chip alt equivalent break-even point, but also because it does actually speed carry over, and the difference between a 2x multiplier and a 2.5x multiplier on pretty much every track is almost zero. It's a little bit more, but basically the final leg excel here, this excel zone right here where you're going to max, you're going to speed carry over and you're going to get this duration anyway. So the difference between 2.0 and 2.5 is basically nothing, and 2.0 and 3.0 is actually where you start getting value back again. So what do you need in order to hit that 2x? Well, if you're stamming for the tracks themselves, anything above 2,400 meters is going to basically give you the speed carry over as long as you are actually stamming for the tracks. I go into this a little more in the Mejiro Bright video, but basically the Tokyo 2,400 meter, which is one of the tougher 2,400 meters, still gives you that 2x modifier if you're stamming for it. The Nakayama 3,600 meter obviously gives you 2.5, but all of these basically are giving you roughly the same amount of value. The Hanshin 2,200 meter is an exception because of the sheer amount of downhill there actually is at the start of that race. It's like 400 meters, and so that helps immensely with the actual stamina burn that you do. When you are starting to get into lower levels, first of all, the Nakayama and Chukyo, you need between 1.5 to 2 additional gold recoveries above actually stamming for the race. That's the big thing. You hit your stamina required for the race, and you still need 2 gold recoveries to hit the Chukyo 1,800 meter in the mile races to hit that speed carryover threshold of 2x. And here I'm going to say that you really shouldn't overstam this character. If I haven't made it like perfectly clear, most of your HP is based on the distance of the track, and if you're stamming properly, you're most likely going to get that speed carryover, which is just additional value. In the shorter tracks, it's still mid-race. This is still a white speed skill that is a longer duration than most white speed skills, and by putting on 2 additional gold recoveries basically for these mile tracks, you are spending between 600 and 800 base SP on that, and you could just be using that to go and grab other mid-race skills. At the end of the day, this is a 0.15. This is a white skill speed carryover. White skill speed carryovers are good. It's not 800 skill points good. What you can instead do is grab stuff like double circling your straights and corner skills, and at that point, one of them will do mid-race, and even that has pretty much the same value as adding an additional 2 gold recoveries. So you're spending 100 to 200 skill points on a few extra mid-race skills, speed skills, rather than trying to just go and be finicky and overstam this character by multiple hundred of stamina. You can say, hey, I can go up to 1900 stamina on Track Blazer, but you could also just get more speed and power, and I think you're going to find that this character does much better with more speed and power than it does with just some additional stamina. Also, note that her inherit is completely shredded. They remove the special scaling, so it's just simply a 5-second ultimate that is a 0.035, also known as nothing. Like, that's nothing. I'm gonna grab a drink real quick. Her career and events. It's only a 7-race career. This is the Mejiro McQueen career. It's it's rather nice in Grand Live. The only problem with it is that you have to win the Tenno Spring. That's an absolute killer. You just need like at least 500 to be safe with it. And if you're clocking, you can just kind of get like Glittering Star maybe or something if you have it on your parents, or try to get... It's tough. The Tenno Spring, especially since we're having trouble building stamina in Track Placer in Grand Live, and we're making parents for it now. This will blow a lot of your runs if you try to run shorter tracks with it. So she's really meant to be a medium-long horse in the longer mediums, and I think that this Tenno Spring is going to be a little bit more tough than people think. Otherwise, her Autumn Congratulations secret event just gives her a bunch of skill points for winning the Triple Crown in the autumn. I'm not sure you're able to run 2 bonus races in Senior on the Grand Live scenario because it is incredibly hostile for racing. Her events and skills, she gets all of her secret skills rather from her actual choice events. Her costume event, You're My Trainer, gives you PTO, playtimes over, one of the best speed skills in the game because 1, it has a cooldown on longs that should double proc it, and 2, because it's just a very cheap 3-second speed skill that is just more efficient than pretty much every other mid-race speed skill in the game, and it has a cooldown. Early lead, which is nice for front runners, is on cooking up memories, which I believe is just the regular base McQueen event. And I won't react to troublemakers not only is a charming event, which is quite nice, especially in Grand Live if this decides to proc early. Getting that early charming chance, if it does hit, is in like a lot of stats over time because you'll get friendship trainings faster. But she also can make it a bottom option for summer runner for those summer races. Her innate skills are Focus, Pace Chaser Savvy, and Stamina to Stare. Pace Chaser Savvy is fine as a wit skill on Pace Chaser for groundwork procking and such. Focus doesn't really do that much on its own, but what this does allow is that if you are running a bourbon card on a front runner, you can go and use your hit books on Focus to give you a discount for the concentration skill as well. Otherwise, Stamina to Spare is just a front half recovery as one of her many recoveries in her kit. Her gold and innate skills are quite interesting. I talked about Heart All Set in the previous video, but is a 0.75 stamina recovery, which is really good. It's just that this will fail 20% of the time. It is bad start, is not is late start, which means this only counts visual late starts, which should be in the 81 or worse category in terms of delay. Focus does stop this by about 7% raw, so it may be worth it because it does go and drop this down to 13% failure. But just note that this is possible to still late start unless you go and grab concentration, which completely eliminates visual late starts. Headliner is a great skill on longs because it is second half of mid-race, which means it has an increased chance of speed carry over, and it is a full gold mid-race speed skill. Approaching late race just means second half mid-race, if I recall. Phase later half random, yep, there it is right there. And you do have to be in the front half of the pack, which you should be in the front 10 pace position. Her CM viability, you can force her on the dirt if you wish. It is 4, and then I think you're going to have trouble. And there may be an option for CM17 where it is a medium, so I didn't mark that down, but it could be possible. But realistically, CM19, 20, and possibly 23 with a force on CM18 for mile, but you're probably running base Measure McQueen, is kind of when she's fine. CM20 is where she's going to shine, as with a lot of characters, because this is the Arima Keenan. The Arima Keenan should give her automatic speed carry over because it is simply longer than 2,400 meters and has a downhill. Otherwise, if you're able to stam for that race, you should be able to get quite good value out of this character. Her affinity is 38 with Biwa Hayahide. That is her highest, and she also has quite just 1 point behind with Gold Chip and Rice Shower, and her list kind of extends a lot. Like most of the characters that you would want to run with her are in the top 20, and their top 20 are 27 is the worst with Agnes Digital, which is not even that bad for base affinity. Base affinity doesn't matter as much with race matching right now with the new G1 update, but it's still quite nice because now your 264 affinity parents are now like 300 affinity parents on Biwa Hayahide, as much as that matters, I guess. But I guess she is a pace chaser as well if you wish. So in conclusion, this is a little bit different than Mejiro Bright in terms of ultimate, but just think of it this way. Her ultimate is mid-race. If you enjoy Measure McQueen, you now have a mid-race ultimate just like base McQueen. It is better than base McQueen on longer tracks, obviously because base McQueen's final corner condition goes into the late race and this one stays in the mid-race. If you are a frontrunner player and you like playing McQueen, there may be value in the fact that in these longer tracks you now have a mid-race ultimate that, yes, is probably not as good as V Bourbon's ultimate, but if you are just better than them and add more gold skills and add more mid-race skills than them, Measure McQueen's ultimate may be able to get you over the line to hit angling and scheming instead of them. It is one of the few ultimates in the game for frontrunners that is actually consistent mid-race that will just simply proc. For pace chasers, it's kind of the same thing. you just have mid-race and the other pace chasers have less mid-race than you, build more skills, and you should just be perfectly fine. I think this character is okay. It is not a top meta character, like I said, but it does not need to be a top meta character as long as it's a character that you enjoy. She certainly can fight. She, of course, is built for long tracks, but you can stretch her into mediums as well. I still suggest base McQueen for miles, but I think this character is great. I don't know what the gag I had with Mejiro Bright was here. Oh, I remember. So, if you build this character and you have enough dedication, you can make sure she shines as brightly as her cousin. Yeah, I kind of flubbed that one. Well, take care, Burbout.